Since 1934, Iowa's farmers have turned to the Iowa Farm Bureau spokesman as their trusted news source. Now, the Spokesman Speaks. Listen in and hear from leading experts on topics important to farmers and agriculture. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to the Spokesman Speaks podcast. I'm Kaitlyn Lamb, and today is the final installment of our three-part series featuring the 2024 Iowa Farm Bureau Young Farmer Leadership Award winners. These young farmers will be honored tomorrow, December 10th, at Iowa Farm Bureau's annual meeting and County Leadership Conference. We have already released episodes featuring winners Nate Hofmann and Kaitlyn Porter. If you missed those, go back and take a listen. And while you're there, subscribe to the Spokesman Speaks in your favorite podcast app. Today you'll hear from James Hepp, a skip generation farmer who is paving his own legacy through conservation. We're out here on the farm of James Hepp. James is one of three of our Iowa Farm Bureau Young Farmer Leadership Award winners. And it is a beautiful day, and behind James, I can see this golden rye and all the soybeans poking up. It's just really beautiful. James, can you tell me about your farm?
I'm a first-generation farmer from Rockville City, Iowa. We have about 1,400 acres of corn, soybeans, and rye in our rotation. I'm a licensed crop insurance agent, so I have my own agency, so I do that, and that kind of keeps the lights on.
Now, something unique that I read about you is you're actually a first-generation farmer, which is a big deal. Tell me how that journey began.
Yeah, I am a first-generation farmer. My grandpa Ron was a farmer. He retired back in the 90s, so it's kind of a skip generation more than anything. One of my best friends in high school, his dad was farming this ground, and he was wanting to retire, and he just didn't have anybody to really farm, and he didn't want to just send it down the road to the next big guy. So I was very lucky to get the opportunity. The first year I started helping him, it went so well. The following year, he gave me 160 acres to crop share, and that did really well. So then he gave me 640 acres to crop share, and that went so well. He's like, well, sounds good. You can do the rest next year. It's been a real blessing. He's been very good to work with, open-minded too. That's why I'm able to do all this cover crop, no-till stuff. We bought the equipment on a contract, and we just recently moved into the house here a few weeks ago out at the farm. So it's been a beneficial thing for everybody. And my goal is to try and get other people to do the same. You know, you don't have to have 5,000 acres to make a living. You know, even if you got 200, 300 acres, you know, you can maybe crop share with somebody, get them started, you know. So that's how I got started. And I'm on year, I think, 3 of farming everything. So far, so good.
Now, it's interesting to me that you're so into conservation. You just said that you have only really been farming for about 3 years. Why was that so important for you from the get-go? Because for some people, it absolutely is. And some people, they have to learn a bit more, or it might take them a little bit to be convinced of a certain practice. But it seems like you were all in right from the start.
Yeah, I tend to be kind of an all-in or all-out kind of guy. With me, ROI is really big. And like I said before, you know, I don't have 2 or 3 generations looking over my shoulder. I would say they did the best with what they had at the time. I'm not going to say all tillage is bad because there is a time for it. But, you know, when you're used to going, turn the soil black, work it, then all of a sudden this crazy kid's planting into a 3-foot tall rye. I have a lot of friends that they struggle with that because they have a lot of negativity. So from the get-go, I never had that. So I feel for people that do. And I didn't know any better. You know, I looked at it, I said, wow, I'm going to cut my herbicide in half. That means more ROI. And it's good for the environment too. And like water hemp is an issue everywhere. If you have a good stand of rye, you're not going to have water hemp. So that's kind of eradicated it, in my opinion, on a lot of my bean fields. I don't know, it's just the right thing to do. And then with tillage out of necessity, we didn't really have a good tillage tractor. And I didn't want to go drop $150,000 on a tillage tractor that you use for a week a year and then have an expensive ripper and field cultivator. And I was talking earlier about like my fuel. I'm down to less than 3-4 gallons of diesel per acre. And there's guys that probably spend that just on tillage. So really it was out of necessity, survival. You know, like I said, that $200,000 I could put towards planter performance parts, updating grain bins so I can have better markets. So that's kind of, and I've looked at it as a business. It's hard to be all in unless you really are in, you know.
Yeah, that's neat that you were able to come in without, kind of like you said, that tradition or way of farming
Hmm.
behind you, and then you could just totally look forward to doing your own thing without any other type of like bias.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely kind of like a superhero power that you have in
Yeah,
your
I don't
farming
know.
operation.
Yeah.
But along with that, in your young farmer leadership application, you actually said sometimes you kind of feel like an underdog in the farming community.
Yeah, sometimes I feel that way. I know a lot of people watch me every step I do because starting from nothing, I mean, when I started, I had just a few bucks in my savings, like the average 30-year-old, getting married. And so I didn't have the tractor from grandpa to use or whatever. So it's been a steep learning curve. I've surrounded myself with great people. I have a great banker, a really great tax guy, a great mechanic. That's kind of I look up to him and he helps me and we help each other all the time. That's really important.
I did want to focus on something you said about the great relationships that you have and how that helps build your success, because you are also out there building relationships, it seems, with other farmers to help them with success and conservation. I know you have some field days that you've done and some that are coming up.
A lot of farmers get wrapped up into we're competition against each other. And I think we really need to take a step back and work together, because I think we can work together and do better together instead of fighting each other constantly. I think we all need to share equipment, work together. I mean, we can't all have $1 million combine like at Farm Progress. Like, it's not sustainable. I think we need to work together. So a couple years ago, I joined a group called Extreme Ag with Kelly Garrett and Mike Evans, and that's been a big game changer. And that's kind of a network of like-minded guys that, like, they could literally set the world corn record, and the next day they'd be like, how can we do that better? Like, they're constantly trying to help each other, and we bounce ideas. It's like a peer group almost for like-minded people that are always trying to do better, and they push ROI big time. So that encouraged me to I did a field day with PFI last summer, and we had around 75 people show up, which I was a little surprised. I didn't know what to expect. But there's a hunger out there, and almost all of them had done cover crops before. I was surprised. I thought there'd be some newbies out there. So I was kind of surprised on that. And almost everybody said in a different way, there's just no events like this in Western Iowa. I'm like, man, I should really do this again next year. And I thought, what if I could do an independent deal, get some sponsors? So I'm going to have like those guys help talk about balancing the soil, like what I've done, reduce synthetic fertilizer, reallocating the money. There's a lot of times like excess nitrogen and potash, stuff like that, that $50 you saved. So then you reallocate it towards like foliar or in furrow on your planter or stuff like that. But people don't talk about that a lot. And if they do, it's more of in a salesman setting. And I just want it to be like a tailgate talk, kind of like a farmer to farmer. Just sit down, have pizza, and just be like, hey, what's this? What's that? Real stuff. Is it working? What did you do? I think everyone's out after our money, it seems like, and everything is a promise. And I should have about 600 bushel corn by now with all the 3 bushel here and 5 bushel here. And I clearly don't have that. So I just think it'd be really good. And I think, once again, working together.
Yeah, I think that's great that you provide this opportunity for everyone to get together in this kind of low stress situation to just share experiences. And like you said, you can only gain something from it, including a free pork burger or, or a slice of pizza or whatever it may be. But I think when we look at examples like that, that is leadership. And that is why we're here talking to you today and why you've won this award. And I do want to switch gears here to your involvement in Farm Bureau. When did that come about?
So I went to Northwest Missouri State, got my ag degree. As soon as I moved back, a good family friend said, hey, you should join the Farm Bureau board. So before I knew, I was secretary and then vice president, and now I've been president. I'm just starting my second term now of president, and it's been fun, and you get to meet people and you go on some of the incentive trips. This summer, we're going to Canada for the president's trip, and I've never left the country before, so I'm kind of excited about that.
And as far as your roles on the board and that taking, evolution, you said you started as secretary, vice president, and president. You must have seen that it was worthwhile. What types of things is your board doing in your county that keeps you involved and keeps you in contact with the community?
We do like can drives, feed everybody at the fair during livestock shows. I've gone to like the young farmer thing and like at Prairie Meadows, and I don't know, we go down to the Capitol and talk to our representatives and stuff. And we've had RVTV come to our area several times, honestly. And we always give out America Needs Farmers and then the Iowa State version shirts, and we do trivia. So we do ag trivia. You always get a shirt, but you got to do trivia. We've been going to the schools too, quite a bit in my tenure here, middle schools. And that's been really rewarding because there's a lot of kids that just don't have any experience. They're doing good. We're teaching them, like we have a segment on veterinarians. So they're talking about the pigs and the beef and all that. And then we'll do plant stuff. I normally do farm safety because I'm on the fire department. So I'll talk to kids about, staying away from grain bins, staying away from grain, PTOs, simple things that we take for granted that we know. Like I always show them, I kind of go rogue a little bit and show them like a fire extinguisher, like, this is a fire extinguisher. This is how you use it. And almost nobody knows how to use it. And then I'll take it another step, be like, this is a smoke detector. And there'll be 3-4 kids. Oh, we don't have any of those in my house.
Oh my goodness.
And I've been on several fire calls where the whole family was saved because of it. We'll even take it as easy as like talking about lawnmowers and stuff and, stay away from dad when he's mowing. Or it's just, there's a lot of stuff we need to take a step back because we take it for granted.
What types of leadership qualities or skills do you think that you've gained from being part of Farm Bureau?
For one, I've gotten a lot better at speaking in front of people. That's helped. Like I did the ag leaders deal with Mary. At the time, there were some days where it's like, oh, this is awful because I'm not creative with some of that stuff. But now I know what Mary's madness was about, and hopefully she'll laugh when she sees this. But
because they have you write a poem, right?
Oh, yeah. And I'm not a poem guy or like some of the artwork where you had to like draw it. It was definitely, but it got you to think. So there's a reason for it. It would have been super easy to say, the heck with this, I'm not coming back. But I've had lifelong friends out of it since those groups, so you never know who you're going to meet. Like one of my best friends in high school, I was just nice to him. I liked him. We got along. I never dreamed his dad would be kind of the guy that gave me the chance to farm. I mean.
Yeah. And talking about your connections with the school and helping these young people learn about all these different, almost like life point touches for you. You also have 2 little ones at home. Please go ahead and tell me about your family. And then I'd also love to hear what it's like for you to see them grow up on the farm.
So I'm married to my wife, Paige. Our oldest son is Karsten. He's 2.5 years old. And he loves everything I do. He's probably one of the only 2-year-olds that can drive the Ranger. He'll sit on my lap and just he drives really well. It's kind of scary. So we're probably going to start taking keys out here soon.
Good idea.
He can't reach the pedals, so we're safe for a little bit. But then our youngest is August, and he's pushing on a month now. So he's doing really well. So we have 2 boys. It's great to get out of town and be out here. They have a ritual. They go out every morning or every couple days and look for asparagus, look for flowers. They check progress on the birds. We got birds' nests everywhere. Robins are laying eggs everywhere. They enjoy seeing that stuff. And sometimes you just got to take a step back and smell the fresh air and stuff like that. And Karsten, he loves doing everything. So probably in 8 to 10 years, I'll have some good help, I hope. They love to come out and bring me lunch when I'm in the tractor planting or whatever. It's really nice to have them around. My wife has a part-time job where she does like different kinds of marketing things, so she's able to work when it works with her schedule. Their curiosity will grow also being on the farm. I really look forward to when he gets a little bit older and he's easier to transport, without so much the car seats and stuff. I think he's going to be really sharp and he's going to be really helpful. This winter, we're already looking forward to him riding in the semi to the ethanol plant. And he's already excited about it. He's already tried out the sleeper and run around in there and stuff. And he's kind of like Tasmanian devil. But
I also like what you say about sparking this curiosity, because I know what it's like to have kids and they're always asking why. And I think sometimes as parents, we might get a little annoyed. And you do say just because it is the way it is. So I do love that in your adulthood. And then also as a father, you want to continue to kind of spark that and answer those questions and really make him think about the possibilities.
Well, you just got to get that interest sparked. And once it's lit, you're good. If you do one thing, he can copy you like instantly. So there's a lot of things I've been able to teach him. Like I said, he'll just hop up on the Ranger and he knows how to drive. And when we meet somebody on the road, he does like kind of a Forrest Gump wave kind of to him. It's pretty funny, when he does it. But he's probably looking through the window right now watching us, but with the dog.
I think I see him.
Yeah, there he is right there. Yep. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I did want to flip back to something that you had mentioned about being a volunteer firefighter. What got you involved in that?
So I went to Iowa Central for a while when I was 18, and one of my best friends, he was about 10 years older than me, and he was on the fire department. And I went to one of our local figure eight races, and small town, everybody knows everybody. My dad had a tow truck, so I grew up going to like car accidents stuff when I was little. So the cops knew me, the fire department knew me, and I was at the figure eight race just hanging out in the pits with him. And he walks up and hands me an application. He said, "You should probably fill this out." I was like, "What? Me?" He's like, "Yeah, you got a pulse, don't you?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." So I was 18. So I'm 34 now. I've been on the fire department. I took about a year off when I was down at Northwest in Maryville, but I was back on weekends. And I'd always make it for a call or whatever. So it's been important for me to give back. And I think it's especially small towns because we just don't have the people. We're able to keep 20, 25 people on our fire department. It's kind of piggybacks with my service to others. I want to help, and hopefully it just kind of reverberates back, and when I need help, someone will help me, and I hope my boys will be that way too,
Well, it seems like they have a good example, and I doubt you'll let them get away with not being of service to others. Yeah. And talking about everything that you do with the fire department and public safety as part of this award, you're also given money to grants to another organization. Can you tell me about who you chose and why?
Yeah, so I chose the hometown memorial ride here in town, which is based off our fire department. One of my good friends, Nick Hildreth, he died in kind of a freak electrical issue. Boy, it's probably been 10 years now. So we started it in memory of him, and then we had the officer Jamie Bunning and Justin Martin. Jamie Bunning was here and got killed in the line of duty with police in Rockwell City. And Justin Martin was a friend of mine in high school, and his dad was my principal, and he's from Rockwell City. So we did this in memory of all three of them. That's the 10th year, I think, now. So we do a ride. It goes different areas all the time. We'll go north, south, west, east. And then we have a big thing at the end where we raise money for scholarships and stuff like that. And so the money will go through that group and then help the fire department with funding for hopefully like rural stuff. That was my goal, to help, because there's, like anything, there's always a shortage of money, everything. I mean, the costs are just through the roof on everything, and everybody expects our services to stay the same or better and for less money. So that's where I chose to put my award money to.
When I read up on the ride and the foundation, so I take my son to swim every Saturday in Urbandale, and I actually drive through the Justin Martin drive that goes through the police station. So there's a presence in Urbandale. So
there's a connection everywhere. I mean, so his dad was my principal, and his dad was my Boy Scout leader too. I was an Eagle Scout, and he was a fellow Eagle Scout, and he helped me with my project, and I helped him with his and stuff like that. And so yeah, it's always a small world. And my friend Nick that died, he had several kids, and now they're getting up of age. So we've always tried to help them. Like the fire department is a big family.
Yeah, that community is important for sure.
Yeah, we stick together.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about your past experiences, what you're currently doing. I'm curious, especially with as much innovation and the open-mindedness that you have, what types of future plans do you have for your farm?
Well, that's a really good question.
Not that you don't do enough.
Yeah, I mean, you got to kind of reinvent yourself constantly, because if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards, whether you like it or not. So I don't really want to grow, but I need to grow for security. Equipment and labor are my biggest struggles. Labor terrifies me because you just can't find it. Like I was talking earlier, there's a lot of 400 or 500 acre guys that I talk to. Hey, how about we pool our resources? Because if we could have 2,000 or 3,000 acres between 4 guys, we'd have 3 or 4 good helpers. We could drastically reduce our equipment costs and work together. And, you run the grain car, I'll run combine, you run semi, we have to work together. So I think that's going to be my future. I'm hoping to do that. To answer the future is hopefully to grow, but also to be diverse too. I'd really love to find a third crop that's profitable. I don't know, but I'm just going to have to really kind of spread out and try different things, keep learning and surrounding myself with good people.
And I know how difficult it can be when you're talking about equipment. It seems like, if you've heard of like project creep, where it's like, okay, I'm going to replace a vanity. Okay, well now the vanity's a little different size. So now I have to like paint behind it. And then now I have to do this. And it's like one thing leads to another. And that's how it feels like upgrading equipment can be. It doesn't fit this anymore. Now I need this size. So yeah, it's a lot.
It is. And that's why if we can team together, and like I said, have 2,000-3,000 acres together and like almost a cooperative, like you own a grain cart, you own a semi. I just think that But like I said, we'll have good stuff though, quality. We have auto steer, we'll have, variable rate quality, where a lot of these guys, there's nothing wrong with what they're doing, but they might have an 8-row or a 12-row planter that's still chain drive, stuff like that, which works, but they're missing out on stuff, but they can't drop 50 grand on a planter, but they almost need it to continue cutting edge,
Right. And talking about your boys or the young people in the community, and you've definitely expressed the need for young families, people to fill the churches and the schools, and this aging population of farmers. If there's someone out there listening who is about to, graduate high school, or maybe they're going to go off to college, but they want to come back to farm, but they don't have that opportunity, as someone who kind of started out on your own, what's your best advice?
Education's important. It seems like when I went to school, they basically said, not directly, that if you didn't get your 4-year, you have to get your 4-year, otherwise you'll be scrubbing toilets. And that's basically what they told us. And so I went and got my 4-year. Now, I can't tell you it was worth every penny, but your education, they can't take it from you, So you need to get education, but you need to get experiences along the way. Go find a trait that you like to do. I mean, there's a lot of truck drivers that make way more money than people sitting in a cubicle somewhere. Respect everybody, I was always taught to treat the janitor with the same respect as the CEO, or probably more, honestly, in a lot of cases, but, and be kind to people. If you do the right thing, time and time after again, eventually things will work out.
As you heard, James is a visionary. And it's people like him who will be a positive influence as Iowa farmers continuously look to improve their soil health and conservation efforts. I hope you enjoyed hearing from our 3 Young Farmer Leadership Award winners, James, Kaitlyn, and Nate. And if you are a young farmer, we hope to see you at Iowa Farm Bureau's 2025 Young Farmer Conference, held January 17th and 18th at the Community Choice Convention Center in Des Moines. This event brings 500 young farmers, ages 18 to 35, from across the state together for networking, learning, and, of course, fun. Learn more at iowafarmbureau.com. We'd also like to extend our congratulations and a thank you to all the Farm Bureau leaders who are joining us at our annual meeting and county leadership conference this week. You are the backbone of our organization, and we are so proud to work on your behalf. Please join us for our next regularly scheduled Spokesman Speaks podcast episode on December 23rd. Thank you for doing the work that inspires everything we do here at the Iowa Farm Bureau. And thanks for listening to the Spokesman Speaks.
Thank you for listening to the Spokesman Speaks, a podcast by Iowa Farm Bureau. Check out more podcast episodes at iowafarmbureau.com/podcast. You can also find and subscribe to the Spokesman Speaks podcast in the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and other popular podcast apps. We appreciate your ratings and reviews, and we welcome you to email us your feedback at podcast@ifbf.org.